Dynamite, and today what I have for you guys is something I actually haven't addressed yet, and it's Arthur's Tombstone that can be found within the Buried remake over at Ghost Town. Now, quick story recap thanks to the Drak, Arthur was revealed to be the loyal servant of the Wolf King, and after the king passed away, Arthur buried his bones under the site where his castle actually is. Now, due to temporal displacement, Arthur was then thrown across time from 1318 when he buried his bones all the way to 2035 where buried takes place, letting him end up under Angola at the displaced western town. So I love how Blundell put in some backstory for Arthur, and his official name was revealed to be Arthur since we all called him Leroy back from Buried. I'm glad that Blundell included that story bit over in Black Ops 3. It really explains where Arthur came from, why he was there, how important he was in the past, and the Great War itself is definitely a story I would love to see explored in a map one day, where you can see, Arthur being the Wolf King's servant, you can see the traditional staves, you could see the keepers and apothecans all back then. That's definitely a map that maybe somebody could make, in the custom zombies community. That would be fantastic to see. But in terms of the tombstone that can be found over in Ghost Town, this is what really gets my attention, and it reminds me perfectly of Richtofen's grave that was in the cemetery during Blackout's beta, and it was brought to my attention recently that no, his tombstone actually wasn't removed, but Richtofen's gravestone actually moves across different points of the cemetery, and I was really wondering why I couldn't find it, but yeah, it actually could be found at different points in the cemetery over at Blackout. And as you remember, this was hinting at a plot that would be featured in a future map that was Blood of the Dead. So looking at the tombstone that's in Ghost Town, it gets me thinking, what if this is a future plot point for the Buried remake or something that'll be explored in Black Ops 5? We have absolutely no idea, but is this hinting at Leroy not being featured in whatever the Buried remake is supposed to be? And that gets me thinking too, there was a rumor not too long ago, probably a little after Taggart Toten's release, that Leroy wouldn't be present in the Buried remake, and instead we would see a hacker-like device that would replace him so that we can still do similar things that we were able to do back in Buried, like lock the box down, open certain areas, etc. And people out there probably wouldn't like that, but what other reason could there be for putting Arthur's tombstone over in Ghost Town, right? It's a bit funny. And in Taggart Toten, we had plenty of Jeb Brown radios. Jeb Brown is, of course, the maker of the Pack-a-Punch machine, and these radios revealed that the witch, or the ghost, from the original Buried is actually his mother. So there are plenty of little storyline details that Treyarch included throughout Black Ops 4's season, which really do explain things that haven't been explained yet in regards to the Victus maps from Black Ops 2. But that also gets me thinking too, the Jeb Brown radios would have honestly fit better in Buried's remake, but maybe Buried's remake really isn't coming to Black Ops 4. What if it is being saved for Black Ops 5? And Treyarch really wanted to explain that Jeb Brown story point as soon as they could, and Taggart Toten was a good fit for that. But maybe Buried's remake will have some other cool plot points via radios and ciphers, again depending on if the map does drop in Black Ops 4 or 5. And besides that, I also wanted to remind you guys of what the difference is between a remaster, remake, or reimagining, because they are three different terms that in my opinion fit three different types of maps. So in my eyes, a remaster is what Zombies Chronicles is, right? It's a map pack featuring faithfully remastered maps with no changes to them besides the weapons and gobblegum machine, of course, but the maps themselves are literally the exact same maps as they were back from Black Ops 1 or 2, wherever they're from. So it's the same map, just with current generation hardware supporting it, with beautiful graphics and some nice enhancements to the gunplay, but still the same maps. A remake is what some of the maps are in Black Ops 4, like Blood of the Dead, like Alpha Omega, like Taggart Toten, where technically is that same original map in spirit, but with new areas, brand new Easter eggs, a completely new crew, and all of that good stuff. So that's what I would call a heavy remake. Now, a reimagining is where things could get confusing. I consider a reimagining to be a map like The Giant or a map like Classified, where technically it is the same map. It almost is a faithful remaster, but maybe with an added area or two, or with a couple of extra bonus side quests, but still in spirit plays exactly the same as the original map. Blood of the Dead, Alpha Omega, Tag, those maps don't play like the originals at all, which is why might consider them heavy remakes in Black Ops 4. So Treyarch definitely has done a couple of maps of each, a remaster, a remake, and a reimagining. So looking at Transit, Diaries, and Buried now, I really feel like Buried is the map that requires the least amount of work in whatever remake is featured in the future, right? They could even do just a reimagining where it is the same map in spirit and plays very similar, maybe with an added area or two and obviously new Easter eggs with a new crew, but I don't think they need to make too many heavy changes to it. Now, what also gets me thinking about Buried is the inclusion of Outlaw. That's a multiplayer map from Black Ops 3, also a remake of Standoff. That town was put above Buried over at Ghost Town in Blackout, right? So it got me thinking, what if in the supposed Buried remake, we see the tunnels expanded upon in the same way they are in Blackout, and what if we see a town above ground, which in my opinion would make the map extremely big. And Buried isn't the largest map, but if you really think about it, with the mansion and the maze and the Pack-a-Punch area, the map is already pretty lengthy, but I think if they added a town above ground or at least expanded on the tunnels, that would make the map pretty damn huge. But I don't think people will be upset about that. I think doing stuff like that would make the map better, and you can even assume that they can expand upon the spawn area from Buried that was in Black Ops 2, right? The little area above where the LSAT wallbite was, the Olympia, the M14, there was some cool stuff up there, but they could definitely expand on that if they wanted to in whatever the remake is. But I do think whatever they expand upon does depend on what game the map is put in, right? If it's a heavy remake with a bunch of new things, then it must have some type of story element that ties to either a Dark Ether story that fits in Black Ops 4 or whatever new story they're trying to tell in Black Ops 5 Zombies. But yes, as I said, Buried is that one map that I feel doesn't really need much changing in comparison to Transit and Diaries. I know for Diaries, we've heard rumors about a grappling hook being added, and again, they have that grappling hook asset from multiplayer, from Blackout. It's the Ruins grappling hook, so maybe add in little gargoyles similar to the Batman Arkham games that you can then grapple onto to get from building to building, and obviously the gargoyles would be there just to avoid a bunch of exploits and glitches I'm sure people would find with using the grappling hook. But yeah, they can do that. They can even add fast travels, any way to make Diaries flow a lot better, because relying on elevators could be a massive pain in the ass and really does take away from the core experience, especially when doing the Easter eggs. But adding something as simple as a grappling hook would make that map a lot better, and I'm glad that was a rumor we heard as of recently. Hopefully that's not just fan fiction. Hopefully that rumor does bear some weight. And then when it comes to Transit, we all know, don't put in any denizens unless it's for like a special dog round or a bonus side Easter egg. Have a pretty environment, no fog, right? We've seen plenty of examples of Transit in the daytime, and as you guys know, I actually learned this recently, there is a skybox underneath the original Transit, which shows that Transit was originally going to have a daytime skybox, so the map will take place during the day. And that goes into what I was saying recently too about how to innovate zombies in Treyarch's next Call of Duty, right? How can you really innovate it, right? Go back to the roots of zombies with classic perks and some weapons and different systems, right? But still include some of those great features that were in Black Ops 4, like the modifiers and, you know, max ammo, replenishing all your ammo even while you're down, carpenters fixing your shield. Keep those things in, but then on top of that, as a real bonus, have some day and night cycles to your new zombie maps. Have Easter eggs that are exclusive to just the daytime or just the nighttime. Have a really cool weather element in your next Zombies iteration. I think that would be fantastic. And I think Transit would be a great map to have that on, right? Not only having a bus route B where you can go to a different area entirely, but then having different weather that just makes the map stand out so pretty, especially on next-gen hardware like PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. That would be absolutely incredible. But let me know what you think of that down below in the comment section. Once again, this has been dkdynamite, dropping my thoughts on that Tombstone for Arthur that can be seen over at Ghost Town. I think, again, if the maps are dropped in Black Ops 4, there are some really cool opportunities to explore the Dark Ether, explore those maps after the events of Black Ops 2, and we have that radio from Classified where Samuel's asking Richtofen which Richtofen he's speaking to, and he's asking him why they were sent to an area they've already been to before. So that gets me thinking that, yeah, Samuel is wondering why they've been sent to the original Transit, Diaries, and Buried. Obviously, they look different now in the remakes, but he's wondering why they were sent there after the events of Tag because, you know, nobody told them what to do, right? They were told to get the Agarthian device, and they did that, but then everything just went to hell, right? And they all got sent to the Dark Ether. So that radio does fit the Dark Ether theory perfectly, and I hope that's what it was referring to when it was put into Classified. Hopefully, it wasn't some scrap storyline thread that was meant for a different ending of the Ether story. And that again reminds me too of how this Tombstone could be something that was supposed to be in a future Zombies map, but ultimately got cut. But looking at how the entirety of Buried is in Blackout, that tells you something. The entirety, every single inch of it, and the maze is over next to Asylum. So put all that together, you have the entirety of Buried on current gen hardware. You cannot tell me that that was put into Blackout just for the Battle Royale. Obviously, it's going to be saved for something that's related to zombies at some point, right? Either in Black Ops 4 or in Black Ops 5, as I've been saying. But last but not least, a final point, as I've also made clear several times, I have been saying since the summertime, the Victus remakes could very well be saved for Black Ops 5. I've been saying that for the longest time, but I'm a huge advocate for the maps coming out in Black Ops 4, since not only are the maps already made using Black Ops 4's engine, but it just fits the Dark Ether storyline so damn perfectly. But you know what? Business is business. Activision might want these maps to serve as launch content or pre-order bonuses for Black Ops 5 to boost those sales, and guess what? We'll have to deal with that. But no matter what, we will end up seeing Buried return to zombies at some point in time. But that is about it. Really hope you've enjoyed. Check all links down below, and peace out, everyone.